Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure to be in this conference. And today, what I want to talk about is how I hear a lot of people and a lot of stories of how React is easy and how getting started with React takes, like, I don't know, in 5 minutes, you're going to get everything done. First, I want to point out that nothing in programming is easy. Programming is hard. Don't let anyone tell you that something is easy. But I don't think React is that hard. But what's hard about React is navigating the entire world of React. There's so many things in React that you kind of get lost. Even if React itself is not hard and you know how to use all the states and all the effects and everything, it's still hard because you have to make all these libraries that hate each other, talk to each other, and somehow like each other. And that's hard. When to know when to use something and when not to use something and blah, blah, blah. And as an example to that, I want to explain to you how I learned React. So, back in my early days, when I was a sweet summer child, I think I was like 23 or something. I don't know. I would have to go on LinkedIn to check, but I don't know my password, so I'm going to go with 23. So I was like 23, and I worked for this company, and I worked in like the payment management system of it, and we had to build a new payment system, which was PayPal. Everyone knows PayPal, so that makes it so much easier to tell this talk. And we had to build PayPal, and there was me, another guy, a guy, and another girl on my team as front ends. This was also the only time I've ever had more women than men in my team. It never happened again. Don't get your hopes up. It's not a Portuguese thing. It happened once. And this guy was super nice, and he had this idea that, like, okay, so we should use React for this. React is this new thing, and it looks really good, and we should use it. And it was always like ahead of the curve and stuff. Like, he made the first Babel JSX plugin and all of that stuff. Like, really smart guy, 10 out of 10. Problem was, no one else knew how to use React. Like, I didn't know how to use React, and my friend also didn't know how to use React. But we were like, okay, that's fine. Like, we'll learn how to use React. Let's use React. So what happened was, this was before Create React App, so he made like the entire Webpack thing, and then he went on vacation for 3 weeks. So he left for 3 weeks, and my friend also left for 3 weeks. So it was me, the sweet summer child, that was left there alone, wondering what the fuck is happening here. That was not good times. So the point of this is that I kind of had to figure it out. So I had to build this thing. I had to build this PayPal integration. I didn't have to do the backend, obviously. Like, someone already did the backend. I had to do this PayPal integration, and I had no idea what the fuck I was supposed to do. I came from Angular 1, respect. I came from Angular 1, and like in Angular 1, like people just gave you things. Like, you want a route? Here's a route. Like, you just put the route in there. It's easy. There you go. Then it scaled and you cried. But in the beginning, it was like, oh, wow, this is easy. Like, I didn't even know that much JavaScript. Like, I joined that company because they were impressed by my Flexbox knowledge. So I tried to figure it out. And what happened by the end was that I didn't quite understand the idea of like front-end NPM packages at the time. Like, I knew they were real, but I didn't know you had to use them this much. So I tried to do everything with just React. And the way that I did, for example, routes was that, so I had this like app.js, right? And then you had all the buttons, like the nav buttons. And when you click the nav button, it just toggled the state to like about equals true. And if about was true, it showed another component, which in retrospect may not be the best way to create things in React. And then in the final of these 3 weeks, like, this app worked, kinda, but it was the worst code that you would ever see in React, because I tried to do every single thing with React because I didn't know any better. Literally, I didn't know any better. Like, and no one told me that I could go on the internet and look for packages that did the thing that I wanted them to do. So then my friend came back and he was like, why didn't you use a routing library? And I was like, what's a routing library? And it was like, you put it into React and it does routing for you. And I was like, oh, you mean like with the things and everything? And he was like, yeah. I was like, oh, that sounds better. So after that, it was all the way up because I feel like I started right at the bottom. We finished that, but then you forget that we had to integrate it in an Angular 1 app because the rest of the app was Angular 1. So I feel like I need to tell you that there was this like React app, that was the PayPal app, and then we had the Angular 1 app, and like the thing that was connecting them was Polymer. I don't know. I know that I left, and when I came back, like I was like, "Hey guys, what's up? Oh look, we made polymer," and I was like, "Why?" Okay, so after that, I eventually went on the npms and create packages and stuff, and like realize how the world works. But I shouldn't know that like this is not that weird. Like I feel like it happened to a lot of us, mostly the ones that came from Angular 1. Respect. And like there were no state managements in Angular 1. Like the state management was the window. So good. Yeah, so my name is Sara, Sara Vieira. I'm a developer at Code Sandbox. I am Nikki FTW on Twitter. I am originally from Portugal, so if you want to ask questions in Spanish, I will understand them. I may try to speak, but I'll probably say Portuguese words in the middle of it, then you'll be like, what? That sounds Spanish, but it's not Spanish. That's probably because I'm speaking Portuguese with a Spanish accent, because that's how all of us do it. I apologize in advance. So, yeah, that's kind of what I want to say is React is not hard, but the ecosystem itself is very confusing and very big and daunting. And yeah. So, okay, so what we're going to do today, we're going to have some fun at 10 a.m. Well, the world may be dying somewhere else, but we'll not think about that. And we're going to build an app, all right? So this app is going to be incredibly over-engineered, but like amazingly over-engineered. So we're going to use routing, we're going to use animations. All of these will be external libraries, state management, and CSS and JS. So we're going to use all of these things. And I want to say that you don't quite need a state management in this situation, I think. You could probably get away with just using context. But I wanted to show you a state management because like there will be a point when you're using context that if your app gets too big, you will lose context. And I don't know. I thought that was funny. I don't write my jokes. They just come out because I'm so nervous. Okay, so let's do it. Okay, so what we're going to build is this. Beautiful. And who would have known? I'm using Code Sandbox. Yeah, so I have an endpoint that has the worst 30 movies. It has, I think, 100. The worst 30 movies according to IMDb. These are the ones that have the least rating according to IMDb. Why is this important? Now you know. Technically the worst movie ever made was Disaster Movie. That makes sense. So what is this? So this is going to get from a GraphQL API, and it's going to show me a list of movies, and it's going to append some likes to it. So then you can like a movie. It's going to give you this little cute animation, and it's going to order them by likes. Yeah, so then you can also click one of these, and then you'll see this, the very bad quality of this image, and the actual rating, which is honestly 2.0 out of 10, which is really bad. I don't think I've ever seen this movie. Okay, yeah, so one thing is that this is not saved in any local storage or anything. So I don't know, but I really like this animation. I think it took me longer than literally building anything else in this app. It's this little thing. Look at this little thing. Okay. So this is what I have, right? And I won't be live coding a lot mostly because I don't have time, I guess. But I'll be like, I have the app on my side and I'll be copying and pasting whatever makes sense first. So what I have right now is that I have all the pages empty and I already have all the things installed. So let's go over what I have installed. So these three things, where is that? React scripts, React and React DOM come with CRA, create React app. So then I also have Framer Motion installed, history, React DOM, and React routed DOM for React DOM. Why do you need 3? Because you need 3. Framer Motion, animations, we have Overmind and Overmind React. So this is what I'm going to use for state management. So I already have a folder here called Overmind. And style components, which is going to use for CSS. And I also have normalize.css, which what it does is basically make everything look the same. So if I do this, could not find module in that's a good start. It just basically removes like a bunch of margins and stuff. I don't think it's doing anything though. No, it is. You see that? You see that? There we go. It removed the margin there. Yeah, so this is the only thing. So yeah, we're done. Normalized. Yeah, so let's get started. So the first thing that we need, if you look at the app, is that we need to fetch these, right? And I want to fetch them using the state management system. So I have some things here, and the 2 things that I have are the queries. So I have a query to get all the movies, and I have a query to get one movie. And I have this because I didn't really want to use Apollo. because even though this app is very overkill, I didn't want to overkill it even more. So I want to just like shed some light on GraphQL in this case, which is like, it's just a fetch. Like technically GraphQL is just a fetch, but sent as a post. That's it. Like there's no weird magic, because what's going to keep track of my cache is going to be Overmind, which is the state management. So I don't need Apollo. I just need a fetch. So we're awaiting fetch of the endpoint that I have here, which is the endpoint of the movies. And then I'm passing a header telling it that it's JSON and stringifying whatever I pass in here. That's it. And it returns the data, so then I can do whatever you want. Whatever I want. I mean, you can also do whatever you want. It's up to you. Okay, so let's get started, right? Let's do this. Okay, so let's get started with the index. And this is the index of Overmind. So the first thing that we want to do is get all the movies. So let me import the queries. Okay, so if I do things, like I click things and nothing happens, I can explain. So I have a Windows and a Mac, and it's very confusing because I couldn't make the keyboards work the same way, and it's just very confusing. So let me import queries. Oh, if I mistype things, that has nothing to do with it. That's just how I do things. Fetch data from, and let me get QQL. Okay, so the first thing that I want to do is that I need to create a config for it. So I'm going to export const config. And this needs a state. Sorry, we use TypeScript to put sandbox, and it always has like the 2 dots thing. So this config is going to have state and actions. So state is the state, and actions is anything that can change the state. I don't know the name of it in Redux, but it's like that thing in Redux. What's the name of the thing in Redux? It's like the set state. It's like a set state. I don't know Redux, I'm sorry. I did back in my day. There we go, beautiful. Okay, so we need movies, right? So, and it's gonna start as an empty array. Cool, so now we need an action, and this is the action that will create the movies. That will get the movie, sorry. And so I'm gonna create an action, and these are all functions, and I'm gonna create one called get movies. And this is gonna be async, right? Good. And then in here, we're gonna get the state. So when you create any action, it gets the state. There we go. I bet someone was in the audience being like, you missed a comma. I'll get there eventually. The comma. I know because I'm that person. Yeah, so you get the state, and you also get all the actions, whatever you want to do. So let's get the movies, and let's say const data equals await, because this is an async. I can do await, fetch data. So I called it fetch data, and then I pass the query. No, wait. I passed that. The body, sorry. The body is query equals queries dot movies. Okay, cool. And then this is, let's just return, yeah, let's not return anything, sorry. Let's say state.movies equals data.movies. And that's it. We can also destructure this and say movies. And now we don't need data. Yeah, it's kind of mutable, kind of does everything behind the scenes, so you don't have to. Let's create a homepage since we're at it, and let's actually add React router. I think that makes sense. So this part I'm going to copy. So here you go. React router DOM loaded like a good person. And there we go. And let me import home, which doesn't exist yet. We'll create it. And there we go. And I'm going to create these 2 routes. Wait, I got this. I promise I got this. This is more like this will be needed in the future. And now add a line comment. What? Oh, okay. All is good. All is good. Okay, expected string got absolutely nothing because this page doesn't exist. Okay, so const home equals a function that gets nothing. And then let me export default home. There we go. And let me import all the things that I need to import. So I need to import React and use effect. And I need to use actually Overmind. But it's not set up yet. So let's do that first now. So it's a lot of back and forth in the beginning until we get all of this stuff set up. But we need a provider. So we need to import the provider, like literally every single library in the world, we need to import a provider. And we also need to import the config that comes from Overmind that we created. Overmind, and there we go. So now we need the provider, and close this provider. That's the provider from Overmind. And we also need to create Overmind, which basically you pass it the config and that's it. So you can say const state or whatever equals create Overmind, and you pass the config. And now the value of this provider, so value equals state, and that's it. Maybe. Home returning, okay, nothing was returned from render. Return sub. There we go. So now, the way you use overmind a lot of times is that you say const state equals use overmind. But as you can see, this doesn't really exist right now. So let's create this real fast. And this is just one single thing, which you can say from here. So like in your index or whatever you want, use overmind equals create hook. And that's it. So when you create a hook in overmind, it gives you the use overmind. And that will allow you to say, so if I say state equals use overmind, so import, I was doing the Windows one again, use overmind from back, no, overmind. There we go. And now if I console.log the state, we have a movies in array is 0. That's something, right? That is something. We're getting somewhere here. And now we need to call get movies. Okay, so I also need the actions. So actions and unload, so use effect. I know I said I wasn't gonna live code, but I'm failing at that. Actions that get movie. Also, I wanna say that if you use TypeScript, the above error, actions that get movie is not a function because it's get movies. And there we go. Okay, so now if I reload this page, I should be able to get the movies. I should be able to say state at movies, the map. That was pretty not smart. There we go. And now let me JSON.stringify it. Okay. There we go. And now we get all the movies. Jesus Christ, I got really excited there. And now we got all the movies. It's not hard. I mean, it's hard. But as long as when you get the hang of it, it gets easier. We also want to add likes to it and start it all at 0. So I'm just going to map, get a movie. And then in each of the movie, I want to say that whatever is returned from it is equal to movie. And then comma, there we go. And likes equals 0. That did not work because I'm missing 1. There we go. So now when I reload this page, we should get likes. We should get likes equals 0. Oh, good. So now I'll show you something really cool about overmind. And this one I'm just going to copy and paste because otherwise I am going to forget one of the commas. So let me import derived as well. And I'm going to go over what this magic is. So let me come here and actually map over order movies, which is going to give you the same thing. But the magic of this is that when you create something like this, a derived function derives... I know, English, right? A derived function, what it does is that it gets the state you currently have and creates something else. So if you want to sort something, if you want to say, like, does this have likes? I want to get all the movies ordered all the time. You don't have to do it in your view. You can save it in your state. And when this movies updates, this will update automatically. It's really nice. Like, you'll get access to this sandbox. Okay, so let's actually create the homepage. And this is gonna... Yeah, let's create the homepage, and this is going to make us create some components. So the first component I need is this main component. So this is where we're going to start using stock components. So all that I'm saying is, like, display this as flex. That's it. And have a max width of 600 for some reason. I want 800. And we're going to have an aside, and that's about it. So in here, what I want to do is I want to import main. Is this going to do it? Yes, it did it. It did it. It imported it. It imported it. That's beautiful. And I still screwed up. Wait, there we go. Oh, yes. Okay, let me check something. Yes, see? Oh, that's why I wanted 600 so that it could be like visible. Okay, so yeah, that's done. We need some global state though, so let's add that so that it looks prettier when you load it. So you can add global state with stock components by create global state, which this comes from. So I'm gonna. It's a lot of talking. Import. And this is gonna be normalize. So I don't really need normalize here anymore. Oh yeah, that's already there. And now this is a component, so we can just mount this component. That's why I added that. It's like I prepared. Okay, so that looks better. I mean, it doesn't look good, but it looks better. So we can keep going. I would say the next step is to, when you load the page, like there is no loading or anything, so let's create a fancy loading. I think that's important. Or that's my definition of important. So we have a loading here, which just has 2 divs, and then there's a fancy animation. Don't think I did this because I copied this out of the internet. If you type CSS loading, just you get that. And in here I can say, if not, state that ordered movies that length. Yes, I think that's it. Return the main and then the loading. Emily, this is actually importing things. That's so beautiful. See, who needs TypeScript? There we go. Now we have a loading. Okay, we're getting places. Let's add some more stuff. So in the home page, I'm gonna add a movies component, which is not gonna make sense right now, but I promise you it will make sense in the future. So this is just gonna be a UL, and we're also gonna import styled. So I don't know how to like go up on your keyboard thing, so I just select everything and go up or down, like a lazy person. Import style from style components, and now we have this movies thing, and so main is gonna get movies, and I'm gonna close this movies. I hope you're learning something. And what I want to do now is show this. There we go. Okay, cool. So this just shows if not or not. Please show me the loading. If not, give me the movies. So let's create this movie component, which is just a general component that will just show the movie itself. So I'm gonna come here and I'm literally gonna copy and paste this one because there we go. So now I did not import it, did I? No, I did. I did. Oh no. Oh no, we have issue. Export default movies. You may have click the render method of movie. I don't like having these issues live. This does not make me happy. Because you need to understand that like as soon as someone who's doing a conference talk has any problems, they immediately have never seen React in their life. I'm like, what is this? What is this? I don't know what this is. This doesn't make any sense. Okay. Oh, I think the problem is this. We don't have this like button yet. Please let that be the problem. Yeah, and there we go. That was the problem. Okay, but we do have a problem here. I mean, we do have the like button problem. We need to create the like movie action. Okay, so let's go to Overmind, which is all the way over here, and create a like movie. Let me go to my trusted sidekick. At least I'm not lying to you. It should be like magical if code just showed up. Like that's how I code, you know, it just shows up. It's like magic. Yeah, so what the hell am I doing here? So we have an action that also gets the state, and then as a second parameter, it gets anything that I pass it to. So in this case, I pass it the ID that we get as a prop. So if I come here to the home, you can see that I spread all the props, and I give it a key, and that's it. And then let me close this loading and this main, and we get the Silvermind. And so we say state.movies. Okay, there we go. Equals map. And if the movie ID that we're mapping over has the same ID as the one I sent, please add 1 to the likes. So now we just need to add the like button. This one is mostly CSS. There we go. See? All CSS. And now we need the star, which is that pretty animation that took me forever, because I couldn't get Framer Motion to work with style components. I even broke Hood Sandbox in the process, and I was like, why is my sandbox broken? I got Turns out you can't use the CSS thing of style components with framer motion. But I mean, the error was that motion wasn't defined, so it's like, what? Okay, so there's also another thing here, is that in the like button, if I come here, we check if it has likes. So let me remove this for now. So I'm just gonna do this, and I'm gonna add a line comment. If I reload this page, we should see the movies, and I should, and I repeat, should be able to like a movie. There we go. Did you see that? There's an animation. It's so pretty. I forgot one thing. I mean, it's not important at all, but it's H1 here. Worst movies ever made. And I'm going to close this H1. Oh, wow. That is not a closed H1. Oh, yeah. So that cannot be in the main because the main is flex. Okay, there we go. You know how many times that happens to me? I'm like, I'm just going to plug this in here. Oh, no, that's a flex component. I can't do that. It's going to break my entire app. So I'm going to add an H1 here. That's basically just aligns it to the center. And so this is H1. Will it do it? That's the real question. It did it. Okay. Like movie. Like movie. Wait, what? Yes, that was a code sandbox bug. I mean, I will have to fix it either way. But that's a problem for futures. Okay, so we need to check if it has likes, right? So that's basically the only thing we need here right now. So I'm going to leave this disabled. State that has likes is not a function. So what is my idea here? So my idea is to disable it if it has any likes. So what I want to do is create another derived state that will check if there are likes there, and if there are, return me true or false. So let me just find the page. And so I'm here, right? Okay, cool. And this is the derived state. And this is where it gets confusing. And I'll give you that one very easily. So, like, I don't know. But when you pass a value to any, it's not this one. Is it not this one? Yeah. When you pass a value to any derived property, it actually gets passed as a second function. So like the function returns a function. Just go to the docs and copy the example and change it. That's what I did. And then I say like movies.finds, movie if movie.id. Find the movie where the movie.id is equal to the ID that I just passed, and return if the likes are different than 0. So if the likes are different than 0, it returns me 1 and disables the button. One thing is that I use this because sort by default is mutable, and you can't mute the state here. Like you have to use an action, so it gives you an error saying that you can't mute the state. So this will create a copy of that array, and then you can sort it. There is no like non-destructive way of doing sorts in JavaScript. JavaScripts. That's all I got to say. Okay, so we've done it. We got 30 movies. That's it. So now we just need to make the new page. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're gonna do this. We're gonna do this. And no one's gonna have a panic attack. What are panic attacks? Okay, so we need to create this new page. So the first thing that I'm gonna do is remove this beautiful and import movie from, oh no, I clicked my mouse. That can like go fast or slow. I don't know why anyone would want their mouse to go like incredibly and almost unbelievably slow. Movie. I'm going to give you an error because movie is basically nothing. And now we can see from here that this path will be movie/ID. And this is the name of the param. So if I name this lol, I can then get it as param equals lol. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to import React. Let me just copy the import React and use overmind and all of that, because there's no point in watching me type imports. I mean, I don't think that's the fun part of live coding. Watching someone be like, import React from React. Const movie is this, but backwards. And let me return hi, just so it stops complaining. And then export default movie. There we go. If I can type, there we go. Is it gonna work? Yep. Yes. Hey, all good, right? Okay, so now there is this thing called use params. So I can say const lol equals use params like this. And if I do a console log of lol, You get one because that's the ID. But we're gonna call it ID. I mean, we can keep it as lol. Honestly, let's keep it as lol. At least that makes it entertaining, right? Right? Because watching people code is not the funniest thing. Okay, so let me copy over the CSS that I have here. The CSSs, and then what I want to do is that I think this is fine. Yeah, let's go to Overmind and let's get the new one. So I want to create something here, which is like a single page, a single movie. So I'm going to create single movie. Okay, cool. This is going to be an empty object by default. So I guess I can just copy and paste the things that I have here because that's fine. So in here, I can just come here and say const state. Sorry, I think I just had a brain fart. Equals use Overmind. And do not return this, but return. There we go. Oh my god, I am so sorry. It's not here, it's here. And what I'm gonna do, how I'm gonna create this is that I'm gonna say const current movie. I think I'm running out of time. I have 5 minutes. I thought the stock was gonna be like 20 minutes. Glad it wasn't. Because that would have been a failure. Equals state that single movie. And this is not ID anymore, this is lol, because that's what we decided as a family, remember? And what does this even mean? This means that I'm going to create an object that is going to have the ID of the movie. So like 1, and then the object. What is the great thing of this? And why can't I just paste the movie in here? Because then if I go to the homepage and go back to 1, that's already going to be in state. So it's just a really nice way of doing these things. And I also want to say that if there are no current movies, just show me the loading. So like if this is empty, which is always empty now. And on use effect, I want to call actions that get movie actions and pass the lol, not the ID. The ID is nothing now. We don't like the ID anymore. Okay, let's get this movie. And get movie. It's going to be pretty similar to this one. So get movie, this is going to get the state, and this is also going to get an ID. And so I want, the query is queries.movie, and then the variables that I pass are ID. I think. Maybe. No. No, actually that's it. That's actually kind of, yeah, no, that's pretty much it. So this doesn't get things, this gets something called movies by PK, which is the name that the backend has for this. And so what we do is that we say state that single movie, and then the ID equals movie, not movies, but this is a singular one. And now we have this, it works. I honestly did not expect this to work. I'll be honest with you right now. I'm just gonna be honest as a family here. I did not expect that to work. I think we're done. Oh my god. And with 3 minutes to spare. I think we're done. So what I want to show you here is that creating an app with React is not just about React. Also, ignore this. It just asked me like, please include action. I mean, you should include lol, bro. That's important. Lol is our ID. Include actions, which doesn't make a lot of sense in this case because it's like, it's a function, and if it gets rebuilt every time, you're just going to keep doing this, and I don't want that. So, yeah, we did this. I am very proud of us. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to share this sandbox, but what I wanted to show you about this is that most of what we did actually wasn't React. Most of what we did was try to make libraries work with each other and try to find our own paths to make things work. So that's what I want to show, is that React, maybe not the hardest thing, but navigating React is hard. So this is the Code Sandbox link. Don't worry, I sent this to the organizers. They'll put it on Slack or something, because, I mean, you can try to memorize this. You only need to memorize this, because the rest you can type whatever you want. Don't tell this. Don't tell this. Don't tell them that I said this. It's a bug. Yeah, so the tools that I used were Overmind.js. I also shared the slides. Overmind.js, which is a really nice server-side tool. Client state tool. It also actually has GraphQL support, but I thought that was more confusing, so I ended up removing it and just using fetch. I was like, I'll use Apollo. Then I was like, no, that's too much. I'll use overmind GraphQL. That's too much. I'll just use fetch. People need to go back to our roots. Style components, framer motion, which is what creates this animation. I forgot to show you about the animation. Sorry. So you just pass an animate, so you have a motion, and then you have the name of whatever thing you're creating. It's kind of like styled at something. So in this case, it's an SVG. This is basically my initial things, and then you pass animate. And what this does is that I say, when it's liked that I pass to it, it goes to minus 100 in the Y, and it goes and it comes back. It automatically does the going back thing, so that's really nice. So I use it here, and as you can see, I just pass liked to it, and that's it. I pass liked, and liked is set over here in the movie. And what I do is that I set liked, and then I set a timeout that it sets it back to false in 500 milliseconds. And I also use React Router. The version I used is 6, because 6 allows you to do this that I really like, that you pass the component, and then in the component you give it the path. Like, I prefer this, so I used 6. In 5, you have the route component. It's basically the same thing. This is just syntactic sugar that I like. Yeah. I wrote a book about all this stuff, if you'd be interested in, if you like my sense of, as you can see, this was screenshot on the windows. I'm not lying. Yeah, I'm terrible at marketing, but if you liked my talk and you would like to get my book, there is a discount if you're from Mexico. Not only if you're from Mexico, that would have been weird. I would be like, my wife is from there, so everyone get a discount. Thank you for giving me a wife. There's purchase parity. So if you're from basically not Germany or the US, you will probably get a discount. Thank you so much.